Russia has forcibly relocated 200,000 Ukrainian children across its border since invading, claims country's human rights group, but pro-Putin media says Kremlin is offering humanitarian aid to those fleeing voluntarily. Ukraine's war crimes teams are investigating forced deportation of children. The Kremlin says over 200,000 children have voluntarily relocated to Russia. Irina Venediktova, who is overseeing multiple war crimes inquiries in Ukraine, is looking into the allegations which would constitute genocide. War crimes investigators are looking into forced deportation of Ukrainian children to Russia as part of a possible genocide. Ukrainian prosecutors are examining the allegations that Russia is forcing Ukrainian children into their lands in an attempt to eradicate their identity, with 20 cases already said to be on their books. International humanitarian law classifies the forced mass deportation of people during a conflict as a war crime under the 1948 Genocide Convention. Russian state media has claimed that 1.55 million people who arrived from the territory of Ukraine and Donbas have crossed the border with the Russian Federation. The Russian state TASS news agency added that more than 254,000 children had allegedly crossed the border. Prosecutor General Irina Venediktova, who is overseeing multiple war crimes inquiries in Ukraine, said, "We have more than 20 cases about forcible transfer of people to Russia from various regions across the Eastern European country since the invasion began on February. From the first days of the war, we started this case about genocide," Venediktova told Reuters. She said that, amid the chaos and destruction wrought by Russia's assault, focusing on the removal of children offered the best way to secure the evidence needed to meet the rigorous legal definition of genocide. That's why this forcible transfer of children is very important. Venediktova declined to provide a number for how many victims had been forcibly transferred. However, Ukraine's human rights ombudswoman Lyudmila Denisova said in mid-May that Russia had relocated more than 210,000 children during the conflict, part of more than 1.2 million Ukrainians who Kyiv said have been deported against their will. A Kremlin spokesman did not respond to a request for comment on Venediktova's remarks nor the figures on Ukrainians on Russians. Russia in the past has said that it is offering humanitarian aid to those wishing to flee Ukraine voluntarily. The inquiries come as the war reached its 100th day today as Russian forces bear down on the Donbas region in eastern Ukraine. A key Ukrainian stronghold in the Donbas appears on the verge of falling to Russia as the region's governor began openly talking of surrendering the city today. Serhiy Haidai, the governor of Luhansk province, said Russia is now attacking the city of Severodonetsk from all sides and that, if his is given the order by Kyiv to surrender the city, then he would be willing to. Haidai said the decision to abandon Severodonetsk, one of the last Ukrainian strongholds in his province, will not be taken lightly, but that the war is the bigger priority, according to a morning briefing from the BBC. It came as heavy fighting also broke out to the north of Sloviansk, another key city in neighboring Donetsk province, with Russian bombardment cutting water, power and gas supplies, leaving the last remaining citizens facing the prospect of capturing the Luhansk and Donetsk regions, which together make up the Donbas, is now the chief aim of Vladimir Putin's special military operation, which entered its 100th day today, after attempts at a rapid victory with an attack on Kyiv. Russia has been tightening its grip on the Donbas in recent days, making slow, costly, but steady progress in subduing the region with withering artillery fire. Kyiv says Putin's army is now in control of 20% of Ukraine's territory, compared to around 7% when the invasion began on February 24. President Zelensky admitted yesterday that up to 100 men are dying every day, most of them in Donbas, while another 500 are being wounded, a staggering casualty toll that will be difficult to maintain even as reserves and conscripts are called up. Severodonetsk Sizo factory, one of Europe's biggest chemical plants, was targeted by Russian soldiers who fired on one of its administrative buildings and a warehouse where methanol was stored. Ukrainian troops were still holding an industrial zone, Gade said, a situation reminiscent of Mariupol, where a huge steelworks was the southeastern port city's last holdout until Ukrainian troops finally surrendered in